Hello, Namaskar and Adab to all my friends from your friend astrologer and guide Irfan once more with you from your very own channel Astro Assurance. If we take two colors, say for example blue color and yellow color, and we mix them together, then what do we get? We get the green color. Now if we mix more of the blue color and less of the yellow color, then we get a darker shade of green. However, if the yellow color is more and the blue color is less, then we get a lighter shade of green. So while we do get complementary results, but if you put more of one than the other, then the influence of what you're putting more increases and what you're contributing less decreases. So is our life, and this is seen very strongly through astrology as well. And hence complementary energies have been given in astrology, also in a horoscope. And many times we tend to not understand them, we don't tend to realize what they mean, what they stand for. And when we are not able to dive deeply to understand the meaning, then we forget to get we fail to get the maximum attributes of what those energies mean and extract the most from it to have a more fruitful life and to have a more fruitful existence. What do I mean by that? So normally if you want to learn something about our lives through astrology, we either go through various YouTube videos, or we read books, or we approach an astrologer to guide us and to consult from the astrologer. However, how much do we deep dive to understand astrology, what the signs manifestations are, what do the planets represent? And many times, even if you are a practicing astrologer, these don't come easy to you unless you have done years and years of sadhana and you have a teacher or a guru who is ready to give these secrets to you. And so only through a lot of sadhana, your own research and years, sometimes decades of work, and doing a lot of work and reaching out to a lot of people, analyzing thousands of horoscopes, and through them, through your research and through the sadhana with the guru, and the guru giving his own essence of his teachings to you, do you truly become somebody who can understand astrology very well and hence able to guide others. Today I am going to share with you some of the lesser known attributes of the opposing signs or energies in astrology, which are actually very evident in the horoscope, but we don't deep dive into them and many times we miss reading them. For example, you will see that always in the horoscope we have Mars and Venus energies opposite to each other. Mars rules Aries, which is the first house, and Venus rules Libra, the seventh house, houses opposite to each other. Then Venus rules the second house of Taurus and Mars rules the 8th house of Scorpio, again houses opposite to each other. Then the third sign is ruled by Mercury, which is Gemini, and the house opposite to it is Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter. So Mercury and Jupiter are opposite to each other. And then Mercury rules the 6th house of Virgo and Jupiter rules the 12th house of Pisces, again opposite to each other. So why is it that Mercury and Jupiter through either of their signs opposite to each other, and Venus and Mars through either of the signs opposite to each other? And then both the luminaries, Sun and Moon, are both opposite Saturn. Cancer is opposite Capricorn, ruled by Saturn. Cancer is ruled by Moon, we all know. And Leo, ruled by Sun, is opposite Aquarius, again ruled by Saturn. Why is this opposite of energies given the same heights, given the same opposing houses? What is the deeper meaning to them, and is there a deeper meaning to them? Firstly, what are the houses? If you see the houses are Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. Mercury rules the Kama sign, the third house Gemini, which is a Kama house, and then it rules the Virgo sign, which is the Artha sign. And Jupiter rules the 9th house, which is a fire sign, and Jupiter rules the 12th house, which is a water sign. So two energies of Mercury, which is the Kama from the 3rd house and which is also the air sign, is and the 6th house sign of Virgo, which is a Artha Bhav, or also the earth sign, are complemented to the opposing energy of the fire sign, which is Sagittarius, and also the Dharma Bhav, and the Moksha sign of Pisces, which is also the water sign. So you see that the opposing energies also have the opposing planets. Mercury and Jupiter also have opposing energies and complementing energies. So Mercury has earth and air sign, whereas Jupiter rules the fire and water signs, and hence both are also inimical planets to each other. They represent opposite of energies. Mercury is the young child, whereas Jupiter is the wisest of the wise. Mercury is a small planet and Jupiter is a large planet, in fact the largest in the solar system. But they also have opposing energies in terms of characterization. And what is that characterization? Let's deep dive into each of the opposing energies and what they mean. Gemini energy is the energy of the air energies and the Kama Bhav. Now if you see, where is Kama? Kama means desires, aspirations. Kama is all in the mind. Our mind is all about plans that we have, our desires that we have. I want this, I want that, I want that. But what does our heart desire? Our heart desires moksha. We want easing of all this pain and suffering. We want to move towards the Lord. We want to attain salvation. We want moksha. So, mind is full of Kama. Heart is aspiring for moksha. Desires are not easy to achieve. We have very high desires, but is it easy to achieve all our desires, all our aspirations? No. Is it easy to achieve moksha? No, may not be, even over hundreds and thousands of years. Extremely tough, and we don't know, there is no guarantee. And the hand wants artha or money, and we try to hold on to the money the most. But is it easy? The expenses that we have around us, it's tough to hold on to the money, but we try that. And either of the three, the desires that we have, or the moksha that we want, or the money that we want to hold and want more and more, are not easy. And what is easiest for us? It is easiest to do our duty, which is dharma. Because if we do our dharma well, if we do our duty well, then we can get the artha, which is the sustenance. And through the dharma, we can achieve our desires. If you do our duty, then we attract the artha, and if we attract the artha, then our desires can be met. So, if you do your duty, then we can get the artha to sustain, we can complete our desires, and if we do our duty well, if we continue to do our dharma, then eventually we can attain moksha also. But the challenge is, what is our duty and what does it constitute? The Gemini energies, as we said, it is Kama, they are desires, but the Gemini energies are also about, sometimes they are too wishy-washy. Those people who are of Gemini sign, they are too wishy-washy in the sense they sometimes are dual-minded. They are not able to decide. On one side, they think that should I go for a job where I get more money, or should I go for a job which is a better brand? And they are confused, and many times they are in these two minds, which is also what Mercury retrograde represents. What is the opposing energies to Gemini? It is Sagittarius energies, of fire energy. But what is the 9th house? The 9th house is of higher learning and wisdom. So the opposing energy says that to balance the dual-mindedness, the undecidedness of Gemini, you need to fall back on the wisdom of Sagittarius energies. And what is that? Fall back on your higher learning. Wherever you are able to use your higher learning to contribute more, choose that path. So if one job is giving you more artha, more money, but it is not taking into account your higher learning, your higher degrees, but another company who may be a better brand paying you less, but ready to take into account and utilize your higher learning, then go for that. Because wherever you are able to use your higher learning, you will be able to contribute more, and you will not lose your expertise, because even expertise over a period of time, when not used, can be rusted. If you are driving on a day-to-day basis, or you are doing any task on a day-to-day basis, you are good at it. Try driving a car after not driving for about 6-7 years or maybe 10 years, then you'll realize that you're a little rusted initially, and that's what it means. So the opposing energies of Gemini and Sagittarius are about not being dual-minded, not chasing desires, but falling back on your wisdom, using your wisdom and using higher learning. And so in this sense, Mercury and Jupiter are opposing energies, where it is about using cleverness, which Mercury constitutes and represents, versus the wisdom which Jupiter constitutes, and that's why they are opposing energies. Mercury is all about clever analysis, clever data crunching, looking at both sides of the coin and then deciding. Mercury is also the planet of business, of money. Venus is about sensual pleasures, but Mercury is about money and Mercury is about business. And hence, Mercury says, chase artha, chase your desires, but it is Jupiter which says that do your duty and attain moksha, and that's why they are complementing energies. Mercury is too much about cleverness, practicality, pragmatism. Jupiter says use your wisdom, don't try to be too clever, balance your energies, and only through balancing of energies you can go forward. And that's why when you see Mercury rules the 6th house, which is Virgo. Virgo is also a Artha Bhav. Artha is money. But Jupiter is about the 12th house. It's about giving up. Now 6th house is also service. So the opposing energies are that if you're chasing Artha of the 6th house but service is not in your mind, then the loss is moksha, because the 12th house is both the house of losses, giving up, and moksha. So if you're chasing money but not service, then the loss is moksha. But if you're chasing service and you are doing service and through the service you sustain rather than saving money, but most of us have a money mindset. We do service to attain money and not the other way around. We don't want to serve, or a higher focus is not on service, but we do service to attain money and to get money and to sustain. And what happens then? If we are focused too much on money and not on service, we lose our moksha. However, if we are focused on service and we say I want to serve, I may get some sustenance out of that, then your losses are less and you gain moksha of the 12th house. So it's a clear sign to us. The writing is on the wall. You just need to know, you need to delve and you'll be able to read properly. And hence, rather than being too clever, too analytical, too focused on, too curious about where I can chase my desires, where I can make my artha, the opposing energies to be wise, to do your duty, and through your duty you may be able to sustain also, you may get some money for your service also, and you may be able to achieve moksha. So the balance of the energies between Mercury and Jupiter, and that's why they have opposing energies and opposite houses as well. And that's how you also transcend through life. You are a child, and from the child you grow up to be a wise person, to become a Jupiter. And hence Mercury and Jupiter are opposite ends of the spectrum, because the choice is yours, whether you want to remain materialistic, chasing your desires, or you want to take the higher path. And these are the opposing energies in that manner. Now what about the luminaries, Sun and Moon? Sun and Moon are opposing energies to Saturn. Moon represents their Cancer sign, the 4th house, which is a moksha bhava, and Saturn represents the Artha bhava, the 10th house, which is Capricorn. So Artha and moksha are opposing energies to each other. So here you have Artha opposite your moksha, which means that if you are chasing too much of Artha, then moksha may not come to you. The same thing between the 6th house and the 12th house that we saw. Mercury representing Artha of Virgo and Jupiter representing moksha of the Pisces energies. So for the 4th and the 10th house, Moon and Saturn energies, Moon is about emotionality, being emotional and supporting and nurturing others, whereas Capricorn energies are about commitment and loyalty and duty, and doing your duty without delving too much into emotionality. And hence these are at the opposite end of the spectrum. If you become too emotional, then it is not easy to do your duty and not able to do commit and not able to carry on your loyalty well. Here a story of Raja Harishchandra comes to mind. It's an ancient story and there is a lot of deeper meaning to that story. Raja Harishchandra or the King Harishchandra was a very learned king, but he also was carrying a curse, and he was very duty minded. He was a very honest person, and he fell back on bad times to such an extent that he lost all his kingdom. And there was a time when he had to even sell his wife and his child and his son. And he got the duty and he had to work for a cemetery where he had to collect some fees to allow people to burn their dead body. And he had lost his wife and his son. One day, a woman came to the cemetery along with a son, a dead son. And he realized that the son of the woman was his own son and the woman was his wife. And the woman told Harishchandra that our son has died, I want to cremate him. Please allow me to cremate him. Raja Harishchandra asked, do you have the fees to pay for the taxes to cremate the body? She said, I don't have the money. He said, then I'm sorry, I can't allow you to cremate the body because my duty is towards my master. My duty is towards the responsibility given to me. So while my own son is in front of me, I can't be too emotional about it and allow you to cremate the body without paying the taxes for it. And so sometimes when you're too duty bound, then the emotional side has to be balanced and vice versa. So what is the essence? The essence is balance between the two. If you're too emotional about things, then doing your duty may come in your way. For example, if you're too much loving to your children, then doing your duty to discipline them at the time when they make mischief or they commit errors, they make mistakes, and you're not correcting them because you're too much emotionally loving them or attached to them, then you're not doing your duty to raise right citizens, proper citizens, and they may fall into trouble later on. And hence the emotional side has to be balanced through your commitment, your loyalty towards your duty. And if you don't do that, and hence the balance has to be there. You can't add too much blue color to have a darker shade of green, or add too much yellow color to have a paler shade of green, because if you add too much blue color, then it doesn't remain green anymore. And if you put too much yellow, then slowly the paler and paler green eventually becomes yellow. So you need to understand that there should be a balance between emotionality and duty. And then the Leo energy is represented by Sun and the Aquarius energy is represented by Saturn. Now what is the Sun energy? Sun is brightness. Wherever Sun shines, you get all brightness. What is Saturn? Saturn is the shadow. It is the dark energies. It's a dark planet. And Saturn is represented by the black color, the dark color. And hence, brightness and darkness cannot exist at the same time. If you have too much brightness, then you have no darkness. And if you have too much darkness, then you have to have less and less light. And in that manner, these are opposing energies. Also, Sun stands for pride. Sun stands for the highest of high leadership. It is the topmost of positions. Whereas Saturn represents the Shudra class, the working class, who are the lowest of the low rung. And that's why again these are opposing energies. And that's why they opposite each other. And Sun represents your ego, your highest pride, your arrogance. Whereas Saturn represents humility, and that's why again they need to be opposing energies to each other. Sun represents the closest of the close relations. One, Sun is the soul, which is you, the closest of closest relation to you, to the physical body. Second, fifth house is your children. Children are most intimate, they are in a way a part of the body. And third, fifth house also represents the lover, who you have the most intimate of relations with. So in a way, fifth house also is attached to intimacy or most intimate or closest of relations, whereas the 11th house of Aquarius represents the general society. These are not intimate relations, they are social connections, and they represent working a large organization or working for a large cause. So sometimes if you are too much focused on outside world and focus too much on working for a larger cause, you sometimes may not be able to be the loving partner, you may not be able to be the loving father, you may not be able to do your duties well. If you are too high-headed in your mind to have too much pride, then you may not be able to have humility. If you want to reach the highest of the high roles or leadership roles in the organization, then you cannot be a worker. So again, these are opposing energies where you need to not lose yourself to doing too much for society, that you are not able to take care of the own home. And that's why these are balancing energies between the Sun and Saturn. But what does it also mean? This also means that whenever you find that you are too much focused on one, then fall back on the other to balance it. It is like if you are getting a too dark shade of green, then to balance it, you have to add the yellow color. And similarly, if you are too much pride, you have too much pride and you have too much arrogance, then you need to fall back on humility to balance it. If you have too much of wavering mind and you are not able to make a decision, then you have to fall back on the wisdom of Jupiter, where Mercury and Jupiter are concerned, and that's why these are opposing energies and given opposite houses. And then Mars and Venus energies. What is Mars? Mars represents Aries, the Lagna, which is you. And what is the 7th house of Libra? Everybody else. So again, the balance is that if you are too much focused on self, you are too greedy, you are too selfish, then you will be ignoring others, you will not be able to see the needs of others. Or if you are too focused on others, you are too focused on your spouse, too focused on doing for others, then you may not be able to do things for yourself. So there should be a balance between these two. Also, Mars represents the go-getting energy, that aggression, whereas 7th house Libra represents relationships. In being too goal-oriented, being too focused and trying to get things at any cost, you may spoil your relationships, which is represented by Libra. So you need to have a balance between how much goal-oriented you need to have and how much relationships you keep intact. So the more you chase your own aspirations, your own needs, your own greed, you may not be able to focus on the relations. The other thing is the 7th house is also represented by business, which is also the Kama Bhav, which means the Kama for money, the Kama for sexual relationships, the Kama for worldly desires, and the first house is for self and is a Dharma Bhav. So do your duty, balance relationships, then only you will be able to balance both. If you lose one of them, if you don't do your duty and you chase things for self-pride, self-reputation, enhancement of own standing in society, but not focusing on relationship, again one will counter the other. And hence there should be balance between how much you think about self and how much you do for others. There should be balance between how much you chase desires versus doing your dharma, doing your duty. If you see that you are too much focused on yourself and you are not taking care of others and your relationships are suffering, then you need to do a balance. Then you need to focus more on the other part, which also means strengthen that planet and that attribute of the planet which is seeming to go weaker. So here, if you are chasing too much of your own goals and you are too much into myself, then you need to start strengthening the Venus attributes of relationships of the 7th house to balance the haughtiness and the greed that Aries is representing, which Mars is representing. And then the opposing energies of Taurus and Scorpio. What is Taurus? Taurus is again an Artha Bhava, whereas Scorpio is a Moksha Bhava. Taurus is about easy money. So Taurus says, I want money, and that's how the Artha Bhavas also differ from each other. 10th house of Capricorn is about, I want money, I want Artha, but I will do my duty, I will work hard for it. Whereas Taurus says, I want money, I want lots of money, but I want my money to work for me rather than me working for money. And so I want easy money and I want a lot of it, as Taurus, whereas Capricorn is, I want money, but I want to get my money to doing my duty, doing my karma, and I don't want a lot of it. I am okay with a subordinate role. My aspiration is not to be highest of the high. But if that comes to me over a long period of time through hard work, that's the way I want to go for it. And Taurus says, I don't care so much for roles or designation. I want more materialistic pleasures. I want my money. Whereas what is Scorpio energy? Scorpio energy is about others, helping others in their upheavals, helping others in the obstacles, and you yourself facing obstacles and challenges. So the opposing energies is Taurus is too much about money and easy money, and 8th house of Scorpio is about getting things through upheavals, through challenges, and then being able to elevate higher. Second, the second house of Taurus is also about principles and values in life, whereas 8th house is about transformation. And whatever family values that you have, whatever your legacy is that, through the transformation of the 8th house, becoming a very different person from what you're born in the second house as. Letting go of all the legacy, letting go of all the principles or values of what the tribe represents, the family represents, and to chart your own way is what Scorpio energies are, and through an open mind and through upheavals and through transformation. And if you are too focused on money, then the transformation will not come to you. You may not be able to help others, you may not be able to support others. If you're focused too much on helping others, too much about doing for others, then you may not be able to sustain yourself, which the second house represents, earning and sustaining yourself, because the second house is also of food. So the balance between how much you do for others and sustaining yourself. So the balance is, if you're too focused on the money attributes of Taurus of the second house and you want easy money, you're not helping others, then you will go through a transformation. The Srishti will force upheavals and obstacles on you. But if you're balanced and you help others and you go through transformation, yet you earn enough for your own sustenance, then that is a good balance. Sometimes in doing for others, helping others or serving others, you should not completely forget your own needs. You should not completely give up yourself. Some sustenance is good. Some sustenance for family, taking care of your family duties is also important, and that is your dharma. Second house is about interdependence, whereas the 8th house is about upheaval. So have a balance between how much you help others and how much interdependent you remain, rather than being either too dependent on others or being too independent. So interdependence is what you need to do, and you need to have a balance between helping others and facing your own upheavals, and not letting go of the family values or the principles that you are born with. So don't sacrifice your principles to have a complete transformation, or don't completely give up everything who you are. Preserve your identity also, but grow through the upheavals and the transformations, and through the obstacles and upheavals get the higher transformation. And if the transformation is helping to reach higher while holding on to your principle, then it is a better way, that is a more balanced way than a transformation where you are a new person but you are completely changed from what you were born with, or not being able to carry your principles along. So each of these energies are a perfect yin and yang to each other, a perfect balance to each other, and a perfect foil to each other, and a perfect complementing to each other. And when you balance one with the other, then only you are able to do an actual balance between the two. If you chase too much of Mercury, then Jupiter energies will suffer. If you chase too much of Saturnian energies, then the luminaries energies will suffer. You taste too much of materialism and sensual pleasures of Venus, then the goal-orientedness and the society and the reputation in society may suffer. And hence, it is important for you to understand these opposing energies, why they are there, what they represent, and using these energies well to guide your life. And whenever you go through any challenges, see if you are focusing more on one and neglecting the other, and through that neglection of the other, you are falling into trouble, you are falling into challenges, you are attracting upheavals, you are attracting more issues in your life. And when you are more balanced and you balance these energies, then you can do your duty very well, you can get enough to sustain yourself very well, you can definitely achieve some of your desires, and you can then achieve your ultimate desire, which is moksha. So friends, deep dive into your own lives rather than only your horoscopes, and see where you are finding that you are too much focused on, and then identify what is the opposite complementary energies, and then use the complementary energy to balance which is ailing you most. If you feel that you are too much for others, then balance that energy with also thinking about self. If you think you are too much about sensual pleasures, then balance the sensual pleasures, the karma, through focusing more on duty, and through that have a better and through that have a more valued life. So friends, like this video, share this video, and if you're looking for a personal consultation from me, reach out to me at the links given below. Until some other time with some other video, this is your friend astrologer and guide Irfan signing off. Ciao.